Claude Code, every setup method here still actually works, and I tested all of it. The one-line installer, the browser login, the enterprise routes, even wiring in custom MCP servers. The surprise isn't that it's smooth, it's where it breaks. A works everywhere installer that quietly assumes you're not on Windows. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which install path, which auth route, and which workflow gets you from an empty folder to a shipped feature. According to official docs, the one-line installer is genuinely one line. On macOS, Linux, or WSL, you run a single curl command and it bundles its own runtime. No Node.js required. Verify it worked with Claude version and you're done. Clean, no extra steps, no dependency hunting. Windows is where the story splits. PowerShell users run an ARM command. CMD users grab a etress EMD file and execute it as a batch file, and both routes are documented and functional. But community reported, not official, is the real gotcha. Path issues show up often enough on native Windows that the community's go-to fix is dropping into WSL2 Ubuntu instead of fighting the native install. If you're on Windows and Claude isn't recognized after install, that's your fallback, not a sign something's broken. System requirements are modest either way. 4 GB of RAM, x64 or ARM64. This one's a clear win for Claude Code on 3 of the 4 documented paths, with Windows carrying the only real friction. I went through the official Claude Code docs, the troubleshooting guides, and the community threads where people actually hit these walls, so you don't have to find out the hard way. 6 steps, 6 verdicts, 1 running scoreboard. This is where free actually gets decided. According to official docs, the smoothest path is browser OAuth. First time you run Claude, it opens a browser tab. If it doesn't, you press SEO to copy the login URL manually. That single flow works whether you're on Claude Pro, Max, Teams, Console, or a cloud provider account. No key hunting, no config files to edit before you can even start. On quotas, the free tier gives you roughly 20 messages per 5-hour window. Pro is marketed as unlimited with an asterisk, meaning soft caps still apply under heavy use. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. That 5-hour reset is the number that actually matters if you're trying to run this for free, day to day. If you want direct API billing instead of a subscription, you set Anthropic API key as an environment variable. And Claude Code layers its settings 3 ways. A personal file at a Claude settings.json, a project-wide file at Claude settings.json, and a project plus personal file at Claude settings.local.json. Auth goes to Claude Code, clean OAuth on paper, with a documented trade-off in config complexity. That's genuinely useful once you're juggling multiple projects, but it's also the exact spot community threads point to as confusing for newcomers, since it's not always obvious which file wins. Once you're past personal use according to official docs, there are 6 deployment routes: direct through Claude for Teams or Enterprise, the console, Amazon Bedrock, the AWS Claude platform, Google Cloud's Agent platform, or Microsoft Foundry. Billing varies by route. Teams and Enterprise run per seat, and at that tier, the number is $150 a month per seat, with pay-as-you-go available as an alternative. Bedrock, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Foundry are all pay-as-you-go, authenticated through API keys, AWS credentials, GCP credentials, or Entra ID, depending on the platform. The ceiling here is managed settings, pushed from the admin console, server managed, or via MDM. They sit above every other settings file in the hierarchy. No personal or project config can override them. vendor claimed, and worth flagging as vendor claimed rather than independently verified. Enterprise customers report 79% faster time to market. Take that as a company number, not a benchmark. 6. Real roots, a clear settings hierarchy. Claude Code wins this one on documentation quality alone. That's exactly what enterprise IT wants. A hard floor nobody can accidentally break. This is the payoff test, the one that answers whether any of the setup actually leads anywhere. Community reported, a beginner tutorial builds a deployable habit tracker in about 2 hours, starting from nothing but an empty folder and the command mkdir habit tracker and in cd habit tracker and in Claude. No prior coding experience required. The engine behind that is the explore, plan, execute workflow. Explore stops the model from hallucinating structure it hasn't actually read. Plan keeps changes coherent instead of scattershot. Execute is where code gets written, tests run, and iteration happens. Running init auto-generates a Claude.id file that persists your tech stack, conventions, and architecture decisions across every session afterward, so the agent doesn't relearn your project from scratch every time you open a new session. The full loop community members describe runs 8 steps: describe, explore, plan, approve, implement, review, test, commit. The honest caveat, and it's community reported from a single source, not something official docs confirm. Productivity gains crater once you're working in a codebase around 100,000 lines. This workflow is built for greenfield work, not for navigating a decade-old monolith. For shipping something new, 2 hours from an empty folder to a working app is a real number, and it's the clearest win in this whole video. Stick with me, because the last 5 tests are where this decision actually flips. Type a single / and you get more than 60 built-in commands according to official docs, plus 10 bundled skills out of the box. That's help, unclear, model, and dozens more, no setup required. Adding an MCP server is a documented one-line command too. Claude MCP add, supporting SDIO, HTTP, or SSE transport. The official example connects Sentry directly. Claude MCP add, transport HTTP Sentry, followed by the endpoint. Custom / commands still work if you drop files into a Claude commands.h folder, each one configurable with YAML front matter controlling which tools, which model, which hooks fire. The caveat here is directional, not a failure. Skills stored in Claude skills are now the officially recommended replacement for that same functionality. Old commands aren't broken, they're just not where new development is headed. Claude Code wins this test on sheer breadth, 60+ commands, and a working MCP integration path, with one honest note that the ecosystem is mid-migration. That's a genuine integration, not a toy demo. Every setup guide eventually needs a when it breaks section, and this is genuinely the most reassuring test in the video. Official docs point to Claude Doctor as the first move. It checks your installation health, scans your settings JSON, flags unused extensions, catches duplicate subagent names, and reports MCP status, then offers fixes. Beyond that, 5 quick manual checks handle almost everything else. Run Claude version, ping Claude do AI, echo your Anthropic API key, run clear, and check CLA. Here is where Claude Code clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here is where the second pick clearly pulls ahead. Pick the one whose single biggest strength matches the job in front of you today. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.